Hi, everyone, it's me, Andreia, on the show again. Welcome back from Beyond the Cover, as I'm the presenter of Dreamcatcher Radio. Well, today, before we start to discuss about the content of writing, I'm going to read the lovely comments and one question for this week. So let's start with the first, uh, question. It is from Daniel, and say he's from Southampton. And he says he loves my show. I listen to you on my Alexa. And he wants to know what is my favorite genre. Well, Daniel, my favorite genre, it is definitely steampunk. It's a very niche genre that is not for everybody. But I like it because of its contents. It's based on Victorian period and these very specific technology that also the writers write, and also the political intrigue that is involved as well. All the adventures the characters go. There's a lot of things you can really talk about. It's mostly because of this aesthetic. I think it's just fascinating. It is this, and that is a genre that is very niche, and nobody seems to be into it. Yeah, it's my favorite genre. I also like fantasy, obviously. I also like, let's say, some romances, but it's not my cup of tea. The thing I really read on a daily basis, if you like. I like it when it's on the story, for example, in fantasy or the genre, but probably not on so. It also depends of the romance, you see. It's not everything is going to touch me, per se. I also like to read other stuff, but yeah, mostly my favorite genre is steampunk. I really hope you like to listen to my favorite genre, Daniel. And please let me know as well what is your favorite genre. And now here is another question for Yanni from Manchester. I only like fiction books. Can seem to get interested in other genres. Any suggestions? Well, Yanni, depends of your character, depends your personality. If you've listened right now, I like steampunk, but also like fantasy. Because fiction books has a lot of genres, and this depends on what you like to read, what you interests you. Do you like, I don't know, suspense and thrill? Then go for it. Do you like some horror, psychological, or I don't know, cosmic? Go for H.P. Lovecraft, for example, or other authors that write horror, for example, Stephen King. These are one of the American very popular. Or do you like fantasy, the modern conventional? Then go to Neil Gaiman. Though perhaps see this name was a little bit of controversial, but his work is still relevant until nowadays. On fantasy, besides George R. R. Martin and beloved, oh my dear, Lord of the Rings. I don't know. Go out and discover. This is your time for you to know what genres for you would like to read, because I say it depends of personality, what kind of person you are, what you like to read in daily basis. Because keep in mind, this is for you. This is going to be a collection for you to be in your shelf, and you have to be very careful, even nowadays, because of AI. So be careful with that as well. And that's it. Yeah, yes, pretty much it. So my answer question will be: depends of your personality, what you like to read, and see what you can have in your shelves. And the last, well, this is going to be called more observation than anything. It's from Apple, from the Devon. Well, I don't know. This is, I don't know how to say this, but yeah. Love your taste in using. You, my kind of girl. Well, Apple, I don't know what to say with this, but thank you, I guess. I just really know what to answer. I just really don't know. But yeah, thank you, I suppose. I just really like to bring metal bands, very unusual metal bands people never heard about, and also gothic bands as well, because I can bring very other really non-genres, no, bands, like for example, I don't know. Well, you kind of know my probably top of a head, but I like to bring stuff that people don't really know or just discover. So yes, thank you, Apple. Maybe you could meet up one day. Who knows? So yeah, I'm really happy that you said this, and thank you. So guys, it is pretty much it. These three two questions and one comment. And if you would like to reach me out for any suggestions, or even some to say a comment as well about the show, and any, I don't know, if you're struggling in writing, you want me some advice, you can reach out to my email and I have an email. All right. So it is andreia.dreamcatcherradio.co.uk. I'm going to spell it slowly, my name, because my name is going to be very interesting to spell. It's going to be ANDREIA dot dreamcatcherradio.com. So there you go. Now you can reach me out. And let's, because still have some little bit of time today, I'm going just to catch up what we have learned last week. If you remember, we started to see about world building, and we started to also realize that there is at least two types of world building that you guys can start to develop yourselves, which is the real world fantasy building, which is a type of fantasy that you can mash with, for example, if you write fantasy or sci-fi, for example, there has to be some kind of elements, a little bit of realistic, but at the same time, you have to be careful because because of realistic, you have to be careful. And, like I said, you have to keep experimental, but be mindful if this is, you have to be very careful, especially, I sound very, very nervous right now. But yes, well, before I start to do this, because I feel a little bit odd right now, feeling rough right now, let's just introduce my first Gothic song from the bands of Anastasia. And I'm going to introduce, I know, oh my gosh, this is not my day today. So it is Angel of Liberty, Anastasia. So they're from in England in 2011. The sound is new, old school. They wanted to capture the spirit of pure traditional Gothic rock. Angels of Liberty finished up in 2017 when the vocalist passed away. So the music has become even more special. So guys, in a way, enjoy Anastasia by Angels of Liberty. What a very awesome soundtrack by Angel Liberty. I really hope you guys enjoy the song Anastasia. So now I'm just before I even start to with my show, I just want to correct something that Bradley very kindly told me. It is about my email. So again, guys, if you want to reach me out for your comments, suggestions, or even just say I have this problem in writing, what you suggest, what you would recommend. Well, you can reach me out with Andreia at. It's at. I will apologize. It's not dot. It's hat. So I'm going to spell again my name. Andreia at dreamcatcherradio.com.uk. So now that we finally finished with this, let's start to just catch up what we have learned on the last week. So we start to see about some details, but not entirely, about historical in your. If you want to write historical fiction in your story, it really depends how much detail you want. Also, be mindful about the historical period about your story, because that can play a big, a big scene in your plot. And many people will be very interested to actually see how you portray the historical event accurately. Some might say, I'm not interested, that's fine. Some will say, yes, I'm interested, let's see. So this will depend. I think you have to balance a little bit, so see what is important, what is not. So yes, keep that in mind. And we started to actually, no, I'm apologizing. Oh my gosh, again. So world building, we start to see what world building really actually is. And we come to the conclusion that it is the physical part what you are writing. Because yes, creating a world building from scratch can be very challenging at times, but it's very rewarding at the end of the day. And we start to see that one of the aspects that must be important for the world building, it is that it has to serve the plot. Because yes, if you go into, let's say, I don't know, write a story about, let's say, sci-fi, that world has to be, be important to the plot of your story. Because let's say that you write that, I don't know, the aliens from Mars is going to, I don't know, just pay a visit on humans and say hi. Yes, there's no a reason why, and why Mars is the way it is. So you have to do probably some research, and you're going to see this more in advanced shows in my shows when I'm going to talk specific about on genres, on sci-fi. This part we're going to see if you want to be a very soft sci-fi or very heavy on sci-fi. So I'll leave that to you. And we're going to start to see as well how much world building we have to do. And we start to see there are three types of world building on the stories, which is the real world fantasy world building. And we just realize that basically when we are adding fantasy or sci-fi elements, you are adding this to your reality. So you can write some stuff this is in real world or fantastical, depends on your genre, of course, to your real world in your writing. Of course, again, be mindful as to be very balanced. And the second world fantasy building, it is just, you just create at your will. There is no limits to it. You just say, this is canon, and that's it. And you can be bonkers and crazy with it. So just please be very creative. The third and last type, it is what I wrote down now, which is little of column A, little column B. And we see that Harry Potter is a very good type for this, because there is this world of reality that is ours, but then apart, there's this, let's say, not fantastical, but the world that is not from our eyes to see. So it is a kind of world separate from our real world. And this is why it creates that fantastical part when you go to visit the world. So this is why Harry Potter himself discovers, oh, I'm a wizard, I can cast spells. Oh, okay, so this magical is this besides on my world, on my natural world, which my aunt and his family comes from. And as you remember last week, now we're going to finally see how we can create this world building. Again, I'm gonna say you guys here that keep in mind this is not a step-by-step thing, but it's just suggestions for you to create. Because I can give my example. I start to do my world building, so aka lore of my story, of my current novel, the beginning of the beginnings. So it starts when the universe was just black, pitch darkness, and you can start from there. Or if you like, skip that and go to important parts of your story. And that's how you as a creator, you create your own things. So let's start to see the elements. Let's begin with terrain. So the things you have to keep in mind is, what is the landscape like? Are there any natural barriers like mountains or rivers separating the characters from other regions? How might the terrain influence the way characters travel or work, travel, build, and create? Because think about this. The terrain is going to tell a lot of things. It's going to pose obstacles. You probably can think of natural disasters as well. You can think their shape, and you can think as well how that is going to influence the skin color of your characters as well. Because if you say that someone, I don't know, of course this can happen if two people are, let's say, that also can be immigrants, I don't know, come to the country of your story. So this can also play another aspects of your story. But this, yes, the terrain should play a big part of your story, because it's going to say, in a specific culture is in the map that specific site. There you go. Now let's see the climate, because climate is very connected with the terrain. If you think about in the world, everything is connected. The way we are all in the world, located in the map on the global on the planet Earth, there is a reason why things happen, and why snow is on the north, and why the Mediterranean climate is the way it is, or on the desert is very hot. There is always a why for it. You can get expression from that. So let's see the climate. What is the temperature like in your world? What about weather patterns? Is this region vulnerable to storms or any types of natural disasters? Because you think about that. Why, for example, storms happen in winter or autumn, for example? You have to think about this. Or, I don't know, maybe your region is vulnerable to floods. And you have to think, why is vulnerable to floods? This could be a part of the climate, the part that the terrain is formed. As you can see, things that start to complement one another. And you have to think about on the way when you are creating. And the next aspect you can think about is cosmology as well. This is part of my part as well of my story, which is, what are the celestial bodies in this universe, which gods or cosmic beings? Does this world have any contact or relationships with other planets or galaxies? This is a very interesting question, because you have to think, yes, if these cosmic beings exist in your story, also you have to think, do they have any relationships with other beings? Are they alone? I don't know. These questions will pop up while you write your cosmology. What do the beings of your world understand about this extraterrestrial realm? Yes, because if you think about that, we humans have limited knowledge. And because it's limited, we have to travel. We are curious. And we want to know the specific, thing about the other planets and galaxies. And these could be a part of your sci-fi or also fantasy universe, who knows? Or even if you want to, to couple with the real world as well, this could also play a part. Does the cosmos contain information about the creation of your world? What an interesting question. Think about that. Does in your world ever knowledge? Probably forbidden knowledge. Or knowledge that was forgotten years and years ago. But your cosmic beings or the celestial hold them dearly, and they try to protect it, because maybe we humans are very greedy and you want to have that knowledge for ourselves. Who knows? Figure out. Is there any mythology surrounding the cosmos? This could be another interesting question, because if you really think about that, if you're going to think about the borders of the universe, the contents of other planets and galaxies, beings understanding about this terrestrial realm, the information containing in the cosmos, and all of this, some mythologies will be interested to be in your universe. And we're going to stop here for now. For the other elements on the creating a world building, and I'm going to introduce another the first metal band for this week, which is called Shields. This song is Black Dog. It is a British metalcore band founded in 2012. The song Black Dog by Shields portrays a deep struggle with mental health, symbolized by a black dog that follows the individual everywhere, representing depression and inner turmoil. The lyrics express a feeling of falling apart and desire to escape the overwhelming darkness surrounding the singer. Let me just sing you a part because people are growling and screaming, so I'm going to sing a part of the song. I am falling apart. I am falling apart. I am broken, dysfunctional, beyond repair. And this is, guys, Black Dog by Shield. And that's it. Black Dog by Shields. I was just to point out something that I saw on the video clip from YouTube of this band. And interesting enough, there was a final note to the video clip that said, "In memory of George Christie, don't suffer alone. Someone always cares." And I will go with the band and say yes. If at the moment you are struggling, of course, seek out a professional and everything. And hopefully this music has helped you also to just confront the thing that struggle and being very strong for you to handle. But always seek a professional. and speak with somebody, even if it's a member, family, or a friend that you know it cares about. You're going to stay with you by your side. Because as it says at the end of the video clip, don't suffer alone. Someone always cares. So I'll leave this, and now let's continue our journey of how to write, a guide to world building. We just start see from the terrain, climate, and cosmology. And if we think about it, this whole stuff makes sense. Because the way the terrain is going to be formed is going to tell the climate as well. And if you think about it, I haven't told you this, but if you think about it, it's going to also tell the story of your gods. Because think about how your gods have created your world or planets. It's something interesting. When I wrote the lore of my fantasy novel, I was so fascinated the ideas that come to my brain. I really was. And the way they imagine, oh my gosh, created Earth, but of course I'm going to dig another name. It's just so interesting because it just really tells what are you inspired by, and what things that you can write about and say. And if you think about people that are going to read your book, they're going to be fascinated. They're going to ask questions, and you want it as a writer. But let's continue because there's more. So let's see about fauna, because fauna is very connected with climate, if you think about that. So what are the advantaged species in this world? In other words, which creatures are responsible for building civilization? This is also true. If you think about fauna, it's not just about the animals that habitat in the terrain of your world, but also if they evolved as a species. How was all the civilization started? What were the ancestors of your humans if you have humans in your world? This could be another question you could actually ask. Another question would be, what other animals or creatures exist here? Again, connect with climate change. Climate, and also the terrain, which is very important, and also cosmology. Do your gods allow evolution? Or if they do, how they do the process of evolution? It's something to think about. It would be very interesting as well. How do species interact? Who is the predator and who is prey? Could any particular animal or creature pose a threat to your characters? Another interesting question. Could any particular animal or creature serve as a companion to your characters? Indeed, because if you think about that, let's say your magic is surrounding around the animals of your planet. Think how magic will serve all these questions. So animals could serve a companion. The threat, the possible magic that could involve against humans or other species. The predator and prey question as well. And also how they interact. It could possible that one of your species can only speak by magic. That's it. They could be the best source of communication. And now let's see natural resources. For the natural resources, you can ask what elements of nature could be used for medicine. Poison could be possibly that also weaponry, building materials, textiles, transportation, protection, foods. How accessible are the resources your characters need to meet their basic needs? Are any resources especially valuable or rare? If you think about this, is a very interesting question on natural resources because you have to think how medicine is created and how they create poisons as well. Because remember, terrain, the climate, and also the fauna connect with each other, and this can provide the natural resources. Naturally, it makes all sense. And you can think about the building materials and the weapons, the textiles they create. And of course, the textiles depends. Let's say that you have a tribe or even a civilization that requires on animal skin to do the textiles, for example, the clothing, transportation. How is it like the protection, food? What kind of cuisine will be in your plan when you create, and also other stuff as well. For meeting the basic needs and resources, especially valuable or rare. It could. I don't know, serve as a technology, for example. And then let's see about magic. Now, this will be an interesting part. So, magic. What powers exist in this world and who has them? What are the laws of magic? To what degree should your reader understand the magic? Do all your characters understand the magic of your world? Yes, because magic is a very common thing, specifically in fantasy fiction. And to create magic, you have to create one thing that is called magic system. So you create your magic system, you can use these questions, but other things you can start thinking, you can think again, because again, if in fantasy, if you create your own, go bankers, go crazy, just be creative. Of course, if you want to use, let's say, a weaker magic, you have to be very careful, or you portray weaker magic in specific. If you want to combine weaker magic with, our natural world we're living right now. So this also you have to ask these questions. It also depends on the type of magic you want to explore. Usually, if it is fantastical, go bankers. But yes, keep this in mind. What parts exist in this world and who has them? For example, not everybody might be able to use magic. If there's who can and you can. And of those who can but want to, what they require for them to do this. What they need to do, what they, for example, not to sacrifice to have this magic. What are the laws, which is basically magic system in a sense. What laws do you create to have this magic resolving around the world? To what degree should you already understand about magic? Yes, because you can have complex and also, if I'm not mistaken as well, just a soft magic system you can have. And if you want me to explore this or to talk about that, you can always, again, email me and I will respond that to you. And also, do your characters understand the magic of your world? Yes, because magic might have a specific, a specific language. And if they do all the characters understand? Or maybe there's only specific people, they only understand your kind of magic. And we're going to stop here for now. And my second Gothic band for this week, it is called Vision Video. It is In My Side, and the song is Vision Video. Formed in Georgia, USA in 2017. Some say they sound more like The Cure, but the YouTuber that I found all of these bands, she says that for her they remind her more of the Smiths. The song In My Side by Vision Video uses vivid imagery of knives and darkness to symbolize emotional pain and betrayal. The lyrics depict a sense of being wounded and haunted by someone's actions, creating a feeling of vulnerability and fear that lingers like a persisting threat. So, In My Side, Vision Video.
Yeah, your words sharp, the way they cut under my skin.
understand that everyone was vision video in my side. I really hope you enjoy the music and you just danced a little bit in your corner of your room, or while you're probably watching in your Alexa or whatever you're probably working, and just enjoy the band. So now, just to recapitulate a little bit what we have learned thus far, we start to see about fauna, natural resources, and magic. And I'm going to say it again, that everything is connected from terrain, climate, cosmology, fauna, natural resources, and magic. Nothing goes against each other. All makes sense. And if there's any disruption in your world about that, it's because something happened. And you have to think about what happened to disrupt some kind of disturbance in the natural thing that happened in a specific planet. Now let's continue. Borders. This one can include both physical borders, like oceans, for example, and political borders. The latter will go under cultural world building, but you could still record it on a map. So we'll talk about it just now. Let's see how it works. What lies between your characters and another city, nation, region, or planet? Are the dividing lines physical or made by sentient beings? How is the world beyond the border different from the world of your story? What do your characters know about the world beyond the border? What do your characters incorrectly assume about the world? Or is there danger in a crossing border? Yes, because if you think about this, it all makes sense. Borders can create something that separates things from each other. But because it separates some things, your characters may have some assumptions about other cultures, about other species. And this could result in wars, in misunderstandings and that stuff, and then things happen. But also could be, that physical stuff divides. Like I said, like in oceans can divide continents and nations. It is also be a physical thing. It could be politics about, how a country functions and how they think collectively. Or does another country thinks is more collectively or separately in things. Here you can think about philosophies for political, etc., etc. But now let's see cultural world building now, because it's an aspect that complements. So the aspects of the world that are created by sentient beings. Once again, this list does not cover everything, but it gives you a pretty good start. So let's see now how cultural building can serve your story. Let's start with language. How many languages exist within this world? What are the languages called? What do they sound like and who speaks them? Is there any dominant language? How does language influence communication and relationships between species, nations, or cultures? Now, as a side note, if you plan to create your own language, constructed language, so that's to speak, let's see, you can see a guide for that. But if you think about it, yes, communication, language can say about your nation, how they sound, how they speak, what could be the culture involved in that. And if you compare to the real world, it's exactly what it is as well. The English language formed from a certain period of time, with other cultures coming. And then the English language evolved on its own. It's like in the real world. You just need to think in your fantasy world or sci-fi world, how this come, how the things start, what influence, and what aspects that your species or humans, because it could be humans that all speak another language. Who knows? You can say, for example, that humans in your world they spoke English once, but now they have so many languages right now in their brains, because let's say they are connected with AI. I don't know, let's just give an example. This doesn't need to be the thing of your story. You have to think, well, how they think, how they sound now, and how they speak. So you can see there's a lot of things you have to think about, and how the communication as well. Could be possibly that on the planets, the communication is verbal, is not sound but verbal. It could be by gestures, or could be, for example, like eye contact. I don't know. It could be, communication, telekinesis, for example. I don't know. Here, just think how you want these things to make sense. Now let's see another aspect, history. What are the great historical traumas of your world? Any wars, oppression, famine, drought, or disasters? What historical victories are still celebrated in your world? How did the current power structures come to be? How did any rulers, organizations, corporations, and officials rise to power? What are the historical relationships between the people of your world and the neighboring worlds? Is there any historical of conflict, oppression, or prejudice within the subcultures within the world of your story? Has anyone tried to rewrite the story of this world? So these parts, it is very historical, it's very detailing. So you have to think about how your city was raised, how it was born, how the people come in, how the story evolved of the city, and then how the culture evolved as well. It could be that the wars or whatever you want to come to make a certain continent the way they are. Probably people don't know how more is drawn to floods because natural disaster happened, and now some people died, and then they have to start to rethink how they're going to construct the houses to support for people to be sustainable in their city, for example. Or perhaps your governors are corrupted. I don't know. And they very much just think about themselves. I don't know. Here you have to think this thing has to make sense, has to support the story, not just the story, but the story of your story. So the cultural, how the people think. Is there anybody wants to try to rewrite the story of your country? This is all has its consequences. You see. Remember what I've said really shows ago. Any choice has its consequences, and you have to apply this also while you are creating the history of your story as well. The history of your story, of your culture, if you didn't know what I mean. So this is not in literal sense, but yes, you have to think about all of these details while you're writing your story. So now I'm going to introduce my second metal band for this week, and it's going to be called Flashed Apocalypse in Atherum. This is an Italian orchestral death metal band from 2007. Now, I tried to find in the internet about the guys talking about the song in particular, but I couldn't find any specific information. So I found someone that tried to understand the song. And I found a specific comment on the internet, someone. So the song seems to be speaking about the position of the king. And this is because in Latin, in aeternum, is for forever eternally. And this, so the position of the king, and their power is absolute and forever. It is a bit of a commentary on the position people are given through inheritance rather than merit, could be that question. And that power corrupts, and absolute power absolutely corrupts even more. I'm going to read you a passage of the song because people are going to scream and growl, so I have to read at least the first part of the song for you guys to understand what I mean. It says, "Bow your head before your king, as I'm the bringer of light, the chosen one amongst the men, the Lord and Master of light. But who decided it all? Shut up, you servant, respect divine right, for I belong to the elite of mankind, and light and guardian of justice and right. My word is law, or it's eye for an eye." So guys, Flash Apocalypse in Atherum. guys, this was Flash Apocalypse in Ethereum. Probably you probably haven't understand most of the thing that the singer said, but at least I hope that you at least enjoyed the guitars, the drums, and that piano walking, and even the chords besides the singer. Because yes, this is, as I've said, is an orchestral, so there's some things happening in the song. And instead of continuing this, because I have at least some minutes left, I'm just going to say, you guys, just not a curiosity, but just an update about. Remember when I said that I was trying to invite some people to come to an interview? There, I think I've confirmed right now there is a proofreader editor interesting to go to my show. So it's going to be a very interesting interview, because writers, we have to understand how editing, proofreading works, and who knows? Some of you might not be interested to write books, but you would like to know how editing, proofing works. You might want to see other people's works and help them throughout to put the works out. So this will be very interesting for me as well, an interesting thing, an interesting interview. And that's pretty much it, an update for now. We're just not trying to see the days he can come, we can go an interview, so it should be very interesting. And for my next song, I'm going to talk about Dark Ways. It's my third last Gothic song on this week. And it's I Like the Night and the Light Likes Me. It's from Spain and it started in 2015, but only released their album last year. Influenced by classic metal, but also the synthesizer area. The sound is very synth, sad, and highly danceable. Enjoy!
Likes me.
And that's pretty much it, guys. We are just going to be the end of my show. So just to remind you that you have from the 2 at 4, Kim and Carl creating a report of transformation. Please check them out for some mental health discussions and also advice. You got from 4 to 6, Lisa King, Unapologetic You. Remember, reconnect and rise. It's just to be your authentic self, which I think is amazing. And then for 6 to 8, you've got Stephen Little, Mad About Musicals. If you like to listen to music, please listen to them until this hour. And guys, until next time, I hope you enjoy my this world building advice, and see you then.
Break it down, thinking of making a new sound, playing a different show every night in front of a new crowd. That's new now. Chow seems to laugh is great now. See me lose focus as I sing to you loud, and I can't, no, I won't hush. I say the words that make you blush. I'm gonna